American gardeners in their 50s and 60s are still planting peony roots wrong every fall, and it is costing them 50 years of blooms. Not because you lack skill, because no nursery tag ever revealed the one-depth rule, deciding 50 years of bloom or none. And these 8 secrets fix that. Before secret number 1. Drop your state right now because your USDA zone completely changes. Which of these performs best for you? Find yours and pay attention. And secret number 5. Growers have kept it off every nursery tag for 3 generations. This changes everything. Secret number 1. Peony planting depth. Most American gardeners bury peony eyes 4 to 6 inches deep in fall and then spend the next 10 years wondering why a $15 root refuses to bloom. Picture bare root peony eyes sitting bright pink and slightly swollen just below the surface, buried under exactly 2 inches of loose garden soil in a sunny Zone 5 planting bed. Zones 3-8 full sun, eyes 2 inches deep. University extension trials confirm eyes buried past 2 inches in heavy clay soil delay, blooming by 2 to 3 full years. Cornell and Iowa State extension data both list planting depth as the single most common reason peonies never flower at all. A $15 root planted correctly returns 50+ years of blooms, roughly 30 cents in value each year. Most American growers plant peonies like tulips, burying them deep to protect against frost that peonies never needed. That single mistake wastes a decade of growth, meaning 0 blooms and 0 return on a $15 investment. That $15 mistake is exactly why so many mature peony beds across the country never produce a single spring bloom. But depth is only half the battle. Even a perfectly planted peony will refuse to flower if it's missing one silent requirement most yards get wrong. And that missing piece decides whether Secret 2 turns your peony bed into blooms or another silent, flowerless season. And somewhere in this video is the story of a retired teacher in Ohio whose 40-year-old peony bed nearly died from one depth mistake. That story is coming. Keep watching. Secret number 2. Sunlight requirement. Growers plant peonies near a fence line or young tree, and 5 years later, that partial shade has become full shade, and the blooms simply stop coming. Picture 1. Peony clump wide open, under 6 hours of direct Zone 6. Sun stems thick and upright, heavy with tight pink buds, ready to open. Zones 3, 8, 6 hours direct sun. University extension research confirms peonies need a minimum of 6 hours direct sun to set flower buds, and anything less quietly shuts down blooming without killing the plant. Purdue Extension specifically lists creeping shade from maturing trees as a leading cause of established peonies going bloomless. Relocating an existing clump costs nothing but labor, while replacing it with new stock runs $20 to $30 per plant. Most growers blame the peony itself and rip it out, never realizing a young tree planted a decade earlier stole the sunlight slowly. That single oversight erases a 50-year investment for the price of one afternoon's shade. So if your peony bed used to bloom and quietly stopped, check the sky above it before you check anything else. But sunlight and depth mean nothing if you're making the single feeding mistake most garden centers actually encourage. And that mistake is one every fertilizer aisle in the country is set up to make you commit. Secret number 3, peony root mistake. Garden centers sell general all-purpose fertilizer that pushes lush green leaves while quietly starving the plant of the one nutrient that actually triggers blooms. Picture a peony clump with thick, glossy, oversized foliage and not a single flower bud anywhere along its stems, fed all season with the wrong formula. Zones 3-8 low nitrogen, feed only. University extension guidance confirms high nitrogen fertilizer forces foliage growth while actively suppressing the phosphorus response peonies need to form buds. Ohio State Extension specifically recommends a low nitrogen, higher phosphorus feed applied once in early spring for reliable blooming. A $5 bag of bone meal replaces years of a $15 root producing leaves and nothing else. Most growers reach for the same all-purpose fertilizer they use on every other plant in the yard, treating peonies like any other perennial. That habit alone can silence blooms for 3 to 4 consecutive seasons on an otherwise healthy, established clump. Check your fertilizer bag right now. If nitrogen is the first number, you may be feeding leaves instead of blooms. But even correct feeding fails if you skip what most growers do wrong every single autumn without knowing it. And that fall habit undoes an entire season's worth of bud setting work in a single afternoon. Secret number 4. Fall care mistake. American gardeners across the Midwest leave peony foliage standing through winter, letting fungal spores hiding in that dying growth ride straight into next spring's tender new buds and stems. Picture stems cut cleanly down to 2 inches above the soil line in late October. The entire bed cleared completely before the very first hard frost settles in. Overnight. Zones 3-8, cut back late October. University Extension pathology reports confirm botrytis blight overwinters directly in leftover peony foliage, infecting fresh buds the moment they emerge the following spring. Michigan State Extension specifically recommends removing and discarding all foliage, never composting it, to break that fungal cycle completely. Skipping this 10-minute task can destroy an entire season of blooms on a root worth $25. Most growers assume dead foliage is harmless mulch and leave it exactly where it fell all winter long. That single assumption turns a healthy 50-year investment into a diseased, bloomless clump within just 2 seasons. 10 minutes in October protects an entire spring of blooms. Most growers lose to a fungus hiding in plain sight every single winter. But even a perfectly clean, disease-free bed will eventually stop blooming if you never address one crowding problem most growers never see coming at all. And solving it the wrong way can set your peony back an entire decade of growth. Secret number 5. Division timing. This is the rare one most growers never learn. Dividing peonies in spring, the season everyone naturally assumes is correct, can set bloom production back 3 full years or more. Picture a mature peony clump, lifted whole in early autumn, roots pale and firm, carefully sectioned into 3 to 5 eye divisions ready for immediate fresh planting. Zones 3-8, divide only in early fall. University Extension division guides confirm autumn, specifically September through October, is the only window when peony roots can heal before winter dormancy sets in fully. Spring division interrupts active bud formation, and Iowa State Extension notes recovery can take 3 full growing seasons. One $20 clump divided correctly becomes 3 to 4 separate plants, each worth $15 to $30 at a nursery. Most growers divide in spring simply because that's when they notice overcrowding and feel the urge to act immediately. That single timing error can silence blooms across an entire established bed for years at once. Mark September on your calendar. Right now, that single date alone decides whether your next division thrives beautifully or sets your entire bed back years. And speaking of years, there's a real story tied directly into everything we've covered so far today. One that shows exactly how much every detail here truly matters. Earlier at the start of this video, I mentioned a retired teacher in Ohio. This is that story. Her 40-year-old peony bed, inherited from her own mother, had stopped blooming entirely, and University Extension soil testing revealed the clump had been buried nearly 5 inches too deep for over a decade in Zone 5 clay. She replanted the roots at exactly 2 inches the following September, and by spring, her mother's 40-year-old clump produced its very first full bloom cycle in over a decade. If you are still watching, this next secret is exactly why I made this video, not for the algorithm, for the grower who stayed. And secret number 6 is about to solve the quiet problem, limiting every peony bed's true potential size. Secret number 6, spacing for bigger blooms. Growers crowd peonies 3 feet apart at planting time, forgetting that mature clumps spread wide and end up strangling each other's root systems within just a few years. Picture 1, healthy peony clump, given 3 full feet of open space on every side, producing fewer but noticeably larger blooms than its crowded neighbors nearby. Zones 3/8 space, 3 feet apart. Minimum. University extension spacing trials confirm peonies planted closer than 3 feet compete directly for nutrients, producing visibly smaller blooms within just 3 growing seasons. Extension horticulturists note mature clumps reach 4 feet wide, making early spacing decisions permanent once roots fully establish. Correct spacing turns $120 root into a specimen clump rivaling plants sold for $80 at premium nurseries. Most growers plant based on how small the root looks on day 1, never accounting for the size it reaches after a decade. That single miscalculation permanently caps bloom size on an otherwise healthy, established plant. 3 feet decides whether your peony becomes a showpiece or spends its whole life fighting its neighbor for the same patch of soil. But secret number 7 tackles a myth so common that most American growers actually protect the exact insect, causing 0 harm at all. And clearing this one up changes how you'll treat every peony bud from now on. Secret number 7, the ant myth. American gardeners have repeated for generations that ants are required to help peony buds open, when in reality the plant blooms exactly the same with or without them. Picture 1 unopened peony bud coated in natural sugary sap, several ants feeding on the surface, completely unrelated to whether that bud will open on schedule. Zones 3/8 ants, harmless. Ignore them. University extension entomology confirms peony buds secrete sugary sap from extrafloral nectaries, and ants simply feed on that sap with 0 role in bud opening. Extension horticulturists note the plant blooms identically, even if every ant were removed from the bed. Growers, who panic and spray pesticide waste, $8 to $15, solving a problem that never existed. Many gardeners in their 50s and 60s were taught this myth by their own parents and repeated it for decades. That unnecessary spraying can actually harm beneficial pollinators visiting the same bed. Skip the spray next time you see ants on a bud. They're not helping, but they're not hurting either, so simply leave them alone. And secret number 8 is the rarest one on this entire list. The one that explains why even perfectly cared for peonies eventually start declining after decades in the same spot. Secret number 8, the rejuvenation window. This is the rarest secret on the list. Peonies left undisturbed for 25 to 30 years gradually decline, and almost no source ever mentions that the fix is simply lifting and dividing the old crown. Picture a thick, woody peony crown decades old, lifted whole from the soil and split into fresh divisions, each piece ready to rebuild full bloom vigor. Zones 3/8. Rejuvenate every 25-30 years. University extension longevity studies confirm peony crowns lose vigor after 25 to 30 years, producing fewer eyes and smaller blooms each season. Extension horticulturists recommend lifting and dividing the crown in early fall to restore full bloom production within 2 to 3 years. One original $20 root, rejuvenated this way, can generate 5 or more full value divisions worth over $100 combined. Most growers never touch an established clump, assuming older automatically means healthier and more settled. That assumption slowly reduces a thriving 50-year investment into a tired, half-blooming shadow of itself. That is not gardening. That is diagnosis applied patiently to a plant most growers never think to question after that very first disappointing year of planting and waiting. And we have not even reached the three powerful things almost no single gardening source ever puts together in one complete place. Three things about peonies that almost no single gardening source ever puts together in one complete place for you. Peony clumps planted correctly can outlive the very person who planted them entirely, easily crossing 50 to 70 years in that exact same spot in the ground. A single well-established clump can be worth well over $200 today if priced like the specimen plants sold at premium nurseries across the country. And the third thing almost nobody mentions, a single clump divided once every 3 decades can populate an entire property with matching heirloom quality plants at essentially no added cost. That means one $15 root planted correctly this very fall becomes a permanent, self-multiplying investment worth hundreds of dollars across your entire property's lifetime. Here is exactly where to begin, based on your specific zone. Right now, zones 3 through 5. Your winters deliver the deep, reliable, chill peonies genuinely need for strong bud set. So one $20 root planted at exactly 2 inches this fall becomes decades of guaranteed blooms ahead. Total starting investment, $20 to $30 for a single plant that will quietly outlive most everything else currently growing in your yard. Zone 6 through 9. Choose early blooming varieties, specifically bred for lighter winter chill, since heat-sensitive types simply won't set reliable buds in your warmer climate conditions at all. Miss this fall planting window, and your very first real bloom cycle waits a full extra year. So get the root into the ground right now while soil temperatures still allow proper root establishment. You just received zone-accurate, dollar-grounded, research-based peony knowledge that most gardening channels across this entire platform never put together in one single place. If this video gave you even one secret you had genuinely never considered before today, go ahead and hit like right now, drop your state and your exact USDA zone below, and tell me precisely which of these 8 secrets you're starting with this fall planting season. Subscribe to Planner Lab, where 50 years of real earned plant knowledge get delivered fresh every single week for the grower who actually wants to know.